Recently, Epic Games showcased Unreal Engine 5.8, which is already out, you can download and use it, and they showed MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol, which allows you to connect Claude and ChatGPT to the Unreal Graphics Engine so you can create things like this one, which they showed during the event, while discussing the arrival in the future, in 2027, of Unreal Engine 6. And the coolest part of all this, as I said at the beginning, is that we already have access to it. Well, not with all those buildings and stuff, but a version where you can use the base yourself and you can take, for example, here, look, I took this island, and then with this island, what can I do from there? I can modify it to according to how I want it. So they give us the whole base that they showed there during the event. And most likely in the coming days or weeks, months, or even next year, we'll most likely have access to more demonstrations directly within our project. I want to show you a bit more about this technology they used, which involves PCG, which is procedural content generation. I want to show this inside Unreal Engine and also how you can use it, okay? If you like Unreal Engine, like it, or waiting for Unreal 6, subscribe to the channel here because I cover everything involving that. So let's see. Look, I have this scene here which already shows the little buildings with the sketch and all, the trees, and what's the logic behind what we're seeing evolved? The possibility of you working with rules. So instead of an artist going there and placing building by building, window by window, every little thing by little thing, you define a set of rules, model what it's going to be, what's going to be appearing. For example, you model one of these trees, and then in a set of rules, you set the city to generate. I'll go back. This one's already a bit more worked on. Let me get the example right here, which is the city generator steps, which already shows this. This was actually made by Epic Games. One of the most sensational things here is what they call arteries. So I'm going to select one of these arteries, which is basically a large avenue, a street in the city, and I can hold Alt and drag, look. And look at what happens. All those buildings, all those streets, all the rules I put in will be restructured, reloaded, and the street will be respected. So now, where I put this artery, I have a street, and that's it. I don't need to go and delete all those buildings, move them, no. Through a set of rules, it already draws it for me. But Neri, it's ugly, right? The way it is, it's like big blocks and stuff. This is already the ready-made map they give you. And I'll show you later on that you can replace each of these buildings based on rules in a very intelligent way. But I'll show that later on. Look, here we have these. These are splines, right? PCG splines, meaning they're lines and each line has a number. See, it has an index, and I can modify each of these points. Also, if I want to move this, look, I can, and it forms a curve. And once again, it's gonna recompile. Well, stop and think. Maybe you look at it and think, wow, but every time it changes, you have to, do this calculation and all, follow the rules, and it takes time. Man, imagine you going ahead and making this road here. And then you think, man, but I didn't like this road here. I wanted it to be a little bit wider. A lot of times you'll think, man, am I really gonna do this? Because that's gonna take a long time, right? I think I'll just leave it like this. It's but very fast. For anyone creating an interactive 3D scene, whether for a game or animation, just moving it, man. This is really, really fast. Look, I selected it, I go there and move it here. And it's worth remembering that we have some games that are truly giant being made in Unreal. One of the biggest ones currently being made is the next The Witcher. The Witcher is that franchise, that saga, that intellectual property from CD Projekt Red that allows you to enter an absurd fantasy with monsters, witchers, and for that, you need to enter a world that requires many buildings, a lot of stuff. So Epic Games 2, a good part of this work that we're fan is used for that game. In fact, they bring an example here that's sensational, which goes exactly along with what I'm saying. Let me see real quick if I can find it here. Well, here it is. medieval European city of 1 kilometer and 2 arteries. So I can come here and I'll bring it to the map. And it's already started generating. So it has the walls, it started generating the larger streets, then the smaller streets, added the vegetation part, and it's calculating more stuff. It's going to calculate lower buildings, and ta-da! I have my medieval city here. And from that, you'll work on the modularity of these items. So, well, this building, this house, you'll change every wall, corner, and hinge and door. And then you'll be able to work better. You can work on the variety of each of these items. And I recently made a video too showing a feature of 5.8 that was highly anticipated. That allows you to edit each of these items individually, okay? If you want to see in depth how you can do this, I teach it in my other video, okay? Because you have to find the correct node here and then enable it for editing. So notice how little by little Epic Games is creating something very strong for Unreal 6 so that people can reduce the amount of repetitive work within what they are creating, whatever it is they're creating. With the announcement of the MCP, that is, you being able to put AI to work for you, putting it there, making repetitive adjustments. Man, this tends to be something really big, interesting, so that we can create gigantic things with less work. Now, AI, currently, it is very good at doing repetitive things, but it is not so good at being able to do the work for you on things that can sometimes be simpler, Why? You asking it to put this here on the map, maybe, man, it takes longer. Sometimes it will spend a long time thinking to be able to do something that you do very quickly. But it will be very good at doing things like rules, you setting up these rules, replacing things that are repetitive, putting a lot of things on the map at random points. So more mathematical things, And then you use that to be able to handle it better. And then once the map is set up, you can change each of these little things to be just the way you want it. And then, anyway, right? It is an incredible concept from Unreal 6. And, well, here, look, there are several items I will show you now, okay? How you get here. In fact, there are several other examples. I showed the medieval city, but over here, you can set up a lot of things. Let me see. I brought a forest. What else can be added? There are industrial things. Some will not make as much sense because they need other maps to connect, right? So not all of them are ready-made maps. Look, there's a park here that you can add. And you can connect each of these things to the other cities. Make these graphs connect. I also showed in another video here another thing that is really, really cool, which is the possibility of you having entire biomes already with the mesh itself. There is also an example here I show in the other video how you can use it. And look how cool. This other example here, which is the Golden Gate Bridge, which was all assembled with very few items. So for example, look, this map shows the PCG, right? The procedural construction of this bridge using, anyway, PCG. And there are two graphs for this bridge, which are these files that you work with to be able to assemble it, and 9 other different ones. Da-da-da. And the coolest part of it all is that they used, think about it, guys, to build this entire bridge here, they only used 2 geometric shapes, a cylinder and a cube. What does that actually mean? If let's say you export this bridge by itself is the game. That means your file size will only be 1 single cube and 1 single sphere. And of course, the game engine stuff and all that. Now, compared to something like a fully modeled bridge, where you'd make this base and repeat that base and so on, and make this whole part and repeat that part. Not like this. This way, you have a much smaller file size. And it turned out to be a truly incredible bridge. There are several signs, guys, in the files, okay? That these things here were put together by AI, okay? Some graphs, they look a bit strange. In Epic Games, they mention using this for construction. So it's possible that some of them were made entirely using AI. I don't doubt it, but it's also not information they've stated clearly. Now, I'm going to show you another important part for us to build the city, as I promised. Now, I just have to say, and I'll also teach you, okay, how you can open up these examples. I just have to say one thing. In the last video, a kid said, "Wow, I was really upset that you changed your videos and now you don't teach, man." So there are 2 points about this. It's because he said, I announced the mentorship in the other video, okay? So what is that exactly? I'm gonna do close follow-ups with people who wanna have more knowledge about this to make better use of the knowledge I have. Because I have my course, I pass on this knowledge through the course. But it turns out that this close follow-up allows me much more to be able to guide this person towards something that really makes sense for them. And then I understand he gets upset and says, well, not everyone has the money to buy the course and all that, or to pay for the mentorship. And guys, my course is coming out to about 10 reais a month. It's very cheap, okay? In fact, if you want to take advantage of it, it's here in the description and in the pinned comment. Take advantage of it, and if you're interested in the mentorship, take a look at the description here, okay? There's no way around it. I have to, provide something to society in exchange, besides my videos, so that I can maintain the channel and continue bringing these videos for free to many people. So check out the links here in the description, take advantage of the course, which is at a friendly price. And if you're interested in the mentorship, you can apply down here, okay? It's not for everyone. I'll have to select a few people. To access this, the first point you need to know is that all of this is experimental, okay? Epic Games works overtime to improve all of this content, and it usually arrives through plugins. So here in Edit, Plugins, you're gonna search for PCG. And there are several here, many that you can activate to take a look. This example is in PCG primitives, but there are also Biome ones. I suggest you take a look at all of these. Activate it, restart the engine, come here to the gear icon, and here you have to check engine content and plugin content. And that's it. After you restart and all, you'll have access to these folders. Over here in the corner, there's your project content, engine C++ classes, and the plugins folder. It'll look like this. And here you just go to PCG. You open the PCG primitives content folder, and there's the example map and several other maps. Then you take it and you can already copy it to your project and start using this, which is fantastic. It's really cool. And another cool thing to think about when all this is involved is that Epic Games hasn't just been working on this, right? They work on a lot of things. So there's water with physics simulation. There are several other things that make up everything they're working on, and they keep adding up. They also recently released Mesh Terrain, which is another way for you to actually have a mesh for your landscape, to walk on, to put grass and other things. And I want to show that part 1 mentioned, which is about grammar. Why grammar? Well, for you to be able to build this, there are rules. So you can use all these rules to be able to build the segments. So you need to stop and study this with a lot of care. Here, Shape Grammar Demo, here in PCG Primitives Content, Shape Grammar Demo. And here it shows, look, the whole structure. So what do you need to do? You need to see, look, they're composed, each item is composed of several, see? So there's the door entrance. You swap this item for a door item you modeled in many, many formats. There are also the corners at different heights, see? The walls. And that's what he uses to build this whole building. There are even different colors, see, to indicate the participation of each of these items. So if you want some different formats, let's say for each wall, you can put another subdivision, and then it keeps building. Really cool, right? And here's just an example I started to put together using this whole structure. So I put the walls here, the corners from the example. There's the city, and even the water from Unreal itself. There's a video on the channel showing how you can use, this water and all. And I even put an example here. Look, to play around, since I have a project, right? Get here, grab the car, and let's go. Really cool, man. And the way the city is set up is really chaotic in the style of a real city, right? The streets aren't exactly perfect. It has these forks, these corners. It's very cool. So these are some possibilities of Unreal Engine 5.8, which is also available for download, okay? Download it, do what I showed, and you're already using something, the base used for many top tier games. If you liked the video, if you want to know more about this, subscribe to the channel, follow me as I'll test more new things. Bring them here for you so maybe you don't even need to download. Just take a look and all. Stay in the loop, and I'll bring all these updates here and in the mentorship follow-up and also in the course. The links are all here in the description. Thank you very much for watching until the end. We'll see each other real soon. Big hug. Bye. I'm out.